What happens when a country that has spent centuries taking from the land begins to ask how it should protect it? Not because the land has changed, but because the way it is understood has. Because the final stage of this story is not about discovery, but about reconsideration. Welcome to the making of Britain. For most of Britain's history, the relationship with the land has been defined by its use. Coal was mined, iron extracted, stone quarried, clay shaped, oil and gas drilled. The land was a source of materials, something to be worked, adapted and relied upon. This was not unusual. It made sense within the conditions of the time. Resources were needed and the land provided them. But over time, that relationship has begun to shift. The land is no longer seen only as something to be used, but increasingly as something to be protected, managed and understood in different ways. The effects of extraction are still visible across Britain. Former coalfields, quarry sites, industrial landscapes. These are part of the physical and historical record. Some have been reclaimed, others repurposed, and some remain as they were left. These places tell a story of what was taken and what was built. They're not simply remnants of the past. They are part of the present landscape, influencing how land is perceived and used. The question is not whether they exist, but what should be done with them. The idea that landscapes should be protected is relatively recent. It reflects a change in values, a recognition that land has significance beyond its immediate use. In Britain, this shift is visible in the creation of designated areas such as national parks, where the focus is on conservation, access, and long-term stewardship. These areas are not untouched wildernesses. They're shaped by human activity, but managed in a way that seeks to balance use with preservation. This represents a different approach, one that acknowledges the past, but looks towards a different future. As you're still walking with me, can I ask you to drop me a like? It helps more than you imagine. Thanks. Alongside formal protection, there has been a growing interest in restoring landscapes that have been altered by human activity. Rewilding, in particular, reflects an attempt to reintroduce natural processes to allow ecosystems to recover and develop with less direct control. This does not mean returning to a fixed point in the past, but creating conditions in which the land can evolve in new ways. It's a shift from management to facilitation, from control to observation. The land is no longer seen only as something to shape, but something that can shape itself. At this point, it's worth considering how this shift is understood. When land is protected or restored, what is the goal? Is it to preserve a particular moment in time, to repair past damage, or to create something new? And how should these decisions be made? Share your thoughts in the comments, because the answers are not fixed and they continue to evolve. The move towards conservation does not remove the need for resources. Land is still used for housing, agriculture, energy and infrastructure. These demands can come into tension with efforts to protect and restore landscapes. Decisions about land use involve balancing different priorities, often with no clear or simple solution. What is preserved in one context may be developed in another. The challenge is not to eliminate those, but to manage them in a way that reflects current values and future needs. It's important to recognise that earlier approaches to the land were not misguided within their context. Extraction, development and expansion were responses to the needs of growing populations and changing economies. The resources taken from the land supported industry, trade and daily life. The decisions made were shaped by what was understood and required at the time. The shift towards conservation does not erase that history, it builds on it, reflecting a change in priorities rather than a simple correction. By the way, if you subscribe, there's a whole back catalogue of videos similar to this for you to enjoy. As attitudes towards the land change, so too does the way Britain understands itself. Landscapes that were once valued primarily for their resources are now valued for their ecological, cultural and aesthetic significance. This does not replace earlier meanings, but adds to them. The land becomes something more than a source of materials. It becomes part of identity, heritage and responsibility. This shift is gradual, uneven and ongoing, but it represents a significant change in perspective. The future of Britain's landscape is not fixed. It will be shaped by decisions made in the present, influenced by technology, policy and public attitudes. Renewable energy projects, conservation initiatives, urban expansion, all of these will play a role. The land will continue to change as it always has. The difference is that those changes are now more consciously considered. The question is not simply what can be taken from the land, but what should be done with it. Across this mini-series, the story has returned again and again to the idea that Britain has been shaped by what lies beneath it. From coal and iron to clay and oil, resources formed over millions of years have influenced a relatively brief period of human history. The focus shifts. The land is still the same, but the way it is understood is changing. The emphasis moves from extraction to stewardship, from use to balance. This does not mark an end, but a continuation, another phase in a long relationship between people and place. If Britain was shaped by what could be taken from the land, what will shape it now that the focus is changing? Will the future be defined by what is preserved, what is restored, or what is built? And how will future generations understand the choices being made today? Because the story of Britain is not only about how it was formed, it's about how it continues to be shaped. YouTube has chosen this video especially for you because you've watched this. Watch it next, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you ding the bell, you'll be notified when episodes are published, so you don't miss any. Thanks for walking a little further down the road that built Britain with me. Bye.